Israel Adesanya just gave his take on Khamzat Chimaev versus Nassourdine Imavov. After Imavov picked apart a very tough Caio Borralho, the MMA community honestly wasn't that impressed. A lot of fans felt like he didn't show enough to convince them that he's a real threat to the champ. Regardless, the UFC called it a #1 contender fight, and naturally, talks immediately started about Imavov potentially being next for the champ. Adesanya broke it down and said he believes the Frenchman actually has the better stand-up, and if he can deal with Khamzat's wrestling, then yeah, he could give him problems. And Izzy isn't wrong, but realistically, when you're fighting a wrestler, your striking might not really look the same. It's just different. You're not throwing with full confidence because you know at any second a takedown is coming. We've seen this play out over and over. Sean O'Malley against Merab, Alex Pereira against Ankalaev. Even though Ankalaev isn't a pure wrestler, the threat was there. And of course, Conor McGregor against Khabib. The takedown threat changes everything, and that factor needs to be considered as well. What are your thoughts on the fight, MMA fans? Leave your comments below.
Khamzat versus Imavov, but I'm not gonna just cancel out Imavov now because his takedown defense, if he can take away the wrestling from Khamzat, he'll give him problems. That's what you have to do. Khamzat can strike, but I see what I see. But his wrestling is his main weapon, and he commits a lot to the wrestling. He gets the fucking grip, he takes people down, keeps him down. So if Nassourdine can get past that, he'll give Khamzat problems. But right now, Khamzat's on point. He's got the momentum behind him, and so does Imavov. Who's gonna win? We'll see. But till then, allez.
Islam Makhachev recently held a press conference with Russian channel Tower GSK, and he touched on some of the biggest talking points surrounding him right now, so let's break it all down. First off, Islam says he's feeling strong, feeling healthy, and that the process of adapting to 170 pounds for his title clash with Jack Della Maddalena is going perfectly. Everything is going smoothly, the weight feels good, and he seems locked in for his next challenge. Then the topic of Ilia Topuria came up, and Islam admitted there actually have been talks between him and the UFC about that fight, but he made it clear that nothing will happen until after he handles business with Jack Della. He didn't want to reveal too much about Ilia, saying his full focus right now is on the task at hand, but he definitely didn't close the door on that fight. When asked about facing Arman Tsarukyan in the future, Islam was pretty honest, saying it's going to be hard to find motivation to cut back down to lightweight just for Arman. The only matchup that would truly excite him enough to make that cut again would be a super fight with Ilia Topuria. We have to mention that this fight was very close to being finalized, if not for Belal Muhammad losing his belt to Jack Della Maddalena. Anyways, Islam didn't hold back, saying he believes Ilia is avoiding Tsarukyan, and that if that fight ever happens, Arman would be the toughest test of Topuria's entire career at lightweight. As of now, Team Khabib seems locked in to have at least one title defense at welterweight, with Shavkat Rakhmonov or Kamaru Usman being the favorites to challenge for the belt next.
Я хотел задать вопрос Исламу. Считаешь ли ты Армана самым серьезным соперником для Ильи? И не кажется ли тебе, что Топурия избегает его?
Ну, что избегает, не секрет. Я уже видел там баталии в интернете, где он говорит, я лучше завершу карьеру, чем буду с ним драться. И я думаю на данный момент, что Арман набрал хорошие обороты, и это самый серьезный экзамен для чемпиона мира.
Dana White is taking major heat after a UFC fighter dropped a scandalous story from UFC China that has fans and fighters fuming. Kiefer Crosby, who just fought at UFC Shanghai, revealed that after suffering a brutal knockout from Nuaraji Tayalake, including an illegal knee that should have gotten more than a point deduction, he was basically left to fend for himself. Crosby says no doctor checked on him, no concussion tests, no brain scans, nothing. Just stitched up and thrown into a taxi while dealing with a major concussion and whiplash. He called it being treated like a dog, and honestly, the way he describes it, that might even be generous. This isn't the first time UFC fighters have been left hanging abroad. Mark DeCasey chimed in, saying he felt the same way after his own fight, left standing alone with no one speaking up. Crosby didn't hold back either, describing the whole ordeal as a senseless massacre, saying anyone with eyes could see he was distorted, bleeding, and shouldn't have been back in action that quickly. The problem comes from the fact that when UFC runs shows in countries without formal athletic commissions, they act as their own regulatory body. They follow the Nevada State Athletic Commission policies, but that doesn't always cover real-time safety, and clearly fighters are getting left exposed. Now, with this story going viral, fans are calling out the UFC for neglecting fighter safety, and Dana is in the hot seat as questions mount about whether the organization can do better when taking fights global. Here's how Crosby described the incident on Instagram. Quote, "No doctor checked on me after the fight, no brain scan organized, no concussion test or questions asked how I was doing. chewing, etc. No medication given even though I have major concussion and whiplash. Just stitched up and effed in a taxi and good luck. Nobody gives a bollocks. It's a sick one, yeah. Put our lives on the line every time, and to be treated like a dog is just disgraceful behavior. Anyone with a freaking brain cell can see in this clip I'm distorted from the knee with blood in my eyes, and clearly shouldn't be making decisions that quick. Makes me sick, honestly. Welcome to the big leagues. Big John and Josh Thomson broke down Mauricio Ruffy's crushing loss to Benoit Saint-Denis at UFC Paris, and they didn't hold back. The Frenchman went a perfect 5-0 on the card, while the Fighting Nerds took 2 losses, Caio Borralho and Mauricio Ruffy. Ruffy's defeat was particularly brutal. BSD didn't just beat him, he folded him on the ground and forced a tap, leaving no doubt about who dominated. Josh Thomson believes a big part of why Ruffy fell apart was mental, pointing to the way he handled pressure compared to his own career, saying when you get taken down by a heavy grappler, you don't just give up, you fight to get back up. Thomson thinks the Brazilian got so uncomfortable in those positions that all he could think about was finding a way out, and that mental strain snowballed into a total collapse. Big John added even more perspective, saying it almost felt like a #1 contender going against a number 25. The dominance was that one-sided. UFC Paris turned into a statement night for BSD, and Ruffy's loss will hit the Fighting Nerds hard because it wasn't just a defeat, it was a complete dismantling. 2025 has been tough on the Fighting Nerds, with Gene Silva standing as the only one without a loss so far. What do you think about this fight, MMA fans? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Exactly. Like the way that I fought Gilbert the first fight was even if he does take me down, because I thought he was going to try to take me down over and over, I was like, he's not gonna be able to hold me down. Even if he does, I'm getting back up. Saint-Denis had that mentality tonight, just like Imavov had that mentality tonight. And Ruffy didn't have that. He had, okay, look, after I lost my first takedown, it was over. I didn't want to be here. It was too difficult to get myself back up. And the second takedown, when it happened so easily, it was gone. Everything was like, I don't want to be in here at all. I can't stop the takedowns. He's strong. You can see that Saint-Denis is very dense, like his body almost feels like when he grabs you and he just hangs on you and holds you, you're like, damn, this is rough.
Strong. He's controlling.
Yeah, very strong, very controlling, very dense body, and Ruffy just had no answer. And so I feel for him. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of abilities. If I'm him, I go back to the drawing board, but I go back to the drawing board in terms of wrestling.
That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.